Good evening and welcome. This is Om Prakash Yadav, and you are watching Voice of Republic. More than 1 dozen of writ petitions have been filed in Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality and legality of Waqf Amendment Act 2025. These petitions have been probably clubbed together by the Supreme Court so that a comprehensive and holistic hearing is done to adjudicate the issue, which has drawn not only national attention but international attention as well. From the very outset, it was guessed and it was apprehended that the opposition parties or the All India Personal Law Boards and other religious Muslim organizations would go to the Supreme Court and challenge the legality and constitutionality of this act. This impugned act has to pass through the strict legal scrutiny, as well as it would also face media trials. These days, the attention of media on the proceedings of Supreme Court, or for that matter any other courts, have become very intense. Now the question which naturally and obviously arises in the minds of common citizen of this country is that, will this act survive, or will this act be declared ultra vires and void by the Supreme Court? Although the petitions, those have been filed, has not been made available, but as per the media reports, there are few issues and there are few constitutional points on which the writ petition have been filed. The first is Article 13. Article 13 of the Indian Constitution says that any law, if it goes against the letter or spirit of the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution, would be declared ultra vires, or it be struck down by the Supreme Court or the High Court, as the case may be. But the issues which have been raised in these petitions are related to Article 14, Article 25, Article 26, and Article 300A. So now we should concentrate as what are those articles. As far as Article 14 is concerned, we all know that Article 14 is related to the right to equality, and Article 15 is related to the discrimination on the grounds of race, religion, caste, creed, sex, place of birth, etc. Article 14 has two ingredients, or it can be studied in two parts. The first is equality before the law and equal protection of the law within the territory of India. As a matter of fact, when you go through the debates of the Constituent Assembly regarding Article 14, you will find that the letter and spirit of this article has to some extent been derived from the eminent jurist, British jurist A.B. Dicey and Judge Jennings. Jurist A.V. Dicey was a prominent jurist in England, and he has enunciated, and he was among the founding propounder of the idea of equality. As far as this petition is concerned, the court has to find out as to whether the Article 14 has been violated in the Amendment Act of 2025 or not. In fact, Supreme Court, in a very important judgment, has made it clear that the right to equality cannot be interpreted in negative sense. For example, if certain negative things have been done in the past, no one can draw a parallel that if certain things have gone wrong, we are also entitled to enjoy the same thing in Article 14. Article 14 is not an absolute fundamental right. It is also restricted by certain restrictions. I mean, the equality before the law is not absolute. There are certain exclusive and special rights of legislatures, judges, president and governor, and so on and so forth. Now, coming to Article 15, it says that the state cannot make discrimination in the name of religion, race, caste, creed, place of birth, etc. In fact, the article has 6 clauses. The state shall not discriminate against any citizen on grounds only of religion, race, caste, place of birth, or any of them. The citizen shall, on grounds only of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, or any of them, be subjected to any disability, liability, restriction, or condition with regard to access to shop, public restaurant, hotels, place of birth, entertainment, etc., etc. Now, the question arises that in the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, has this principle been violated? Because the act passed by the parliament is more a quasi-legal, administrative and revenue related to property and less on the restrictions of Muslim community as such. Therefore, to me it appears that probably the Supreme Court will not allow this petition to be admitted on the basis of Article 15. Now, coming to Article 25 of the Constitution. What does it say? It says that, in fact, it is related to the freedom of conscience, free profession, practice, and propagation of religion. In fact, Article 25 and 26 should be read together. Article 26 is related to the morality, health. Every religious denomination, any section thereof, shall have the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purposes, to manage own affairs in matters of religion, to own, acquire movable and immovable property. So, all the three subsections, the provisions in Article 26, it is actually on the basis of these three provisions in Article 26 that the petition, or for that matter, the politicians or the group of people, Muslim organizations, etc., voice their protest that since the Article 26 says that we have the right to establish and maintain our institutions of religious and charitable purposes, we can own and movable and immovable property, own and acquire and manage our own affairs of religion, but this article should be read in totality, not in piecemeal. The provision D of this article says to administer, quote unquote, to administer such property in accordance with the law. So, the affairs of minority community vis-a-vis owning, acquiring, managing property, establishing minority institutions, etc., has to be in accordance with the law. And that is what exactly this law is all about. Therefore, I think my personal opinion is that Article 25 and 26 are not violated while framing this law. Now, the last article which is reported to have been incorporated in the petition is Article 300A, which says persons not to be deprived of property save by authority of law. No person shall be deprived of his property save by the authority of law. Now, the Muslim organizations or the petitioners plead in their application reportedly, reportedly, which has published in the newspapers, that the act deprives Muslim communities of their property. But as a matter of fact, when you go through the provisions of Waqf Amendment Act 2025, nowhere it deprives the Muslim community of its property. In fact, the Waqf Amendment Act should be explained or should be understood on three parameters. The first is administrative and quasi-judicial. So there are provisions which are related to the procedures, the quasi-judicial processes, the administrative mechanism of the Waqf boards. The second is religious denomination, which is clearly untouched in this act. And third is basically related to land revenue matters. Therefore, in the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, certain sections of the Principal Act, when I say Principal Act, I am referring to Waqf Act 1995 read with Waqf Amendment Act 2013. So, certain provisions have been omitted. For example, the provisions made therein in the principal law regarding survey commissioner, regarding the finality of the judgment and the decision of the tribunals, regarding the board's decision being final, regarding the government properties, regarding the overriding effect of the Principal Act. So these provisions have been omitted. So these are related to the administrative and quasi-judicial legal provisions. It is not related to the right to equality or right to property. So these provisions in no way violate or infringes upon the fundamental rights of the citizen, including the minorities. There are certain provisions which are inserted in the 2025 Act. For example, provision of collectors doing the survey, provision of mutation to be done in accordance with the revenue laws. For example, insertion of certain provisions regarding the law of limitations, etc. And certain provisions have been substituted. For example, the name Waqf have been substituted by UMEED, Unified Management of Efficient Empowerment, Management and Development. So UMEED. So certain provisions have been inserted. So what I'm trying to explain to you is that the Waqf Amendment Act 2025, which has been challenged in the Supreme Court on the basis of Article 14, 15, 25, 26 and Article 300A, is difficult to be accepted by the Supreme Court. Although it is not possible to say that this writ petition would be dismissed or it would be accepted, the Work Amendment Act would be declared void. So, these are the discretion of the Honorable Supreme Court. But going through the provisions of these articles in the Constitution and going through the contents of the petitions which have appeared in different newspapers, there is all likely, there is all possibility that these pleas or these arguments would not sustain in the eyes of law. However, it would be very interesting as well as it would be very important to see that Honorable Supreme Court starts hearing the matter, because it has been prayed by the petitioner that since this act is of utmost national importance, affecting 20 crore plus minority in this country, and in the meantime, the central government has filed a caveat. So, caveat is a petition, or caveat is a legal provision in which there is a provision that court cannot make any order whatsoever without listening to the party concerned or the party who has filed the caveat. Therefore, it is highly unlikely that the Supreme Court would stay the operation of this act. It is highly unlikely. However, it would be very interesting to see that whether this question of national importance, whether this contentious issue, very sensitive issue of WAF, which not only concerns the minority, but it concerns the majority Hindu community of the country as well. It would be interesting to see that whether this writ petition goes to the 5-judge bench or 7-judge bench or probably 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court. Let us watch and wait what Honorable Supreme Court says on this. This is all for today. Thank you and good night. Namaskar.